You know that feeling, right? That little spike of panic when you see your car's temperature needle creeping up into the red? Yeah, an overheating engine can turn a perfectly good day into a total roadside disaster. But what if I told you it's almost always preventable? In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why car engines overheat and, more importantly, how you can keep yours running cool.
Just picture it. You're driving along, music's on, everything's fine. And then you see it. That temperature gauge is climbing way too high. A second later, poof, steam starts pouring out from under the hood. It is that nightmare moment every single driver dreads. But you know what? We can take all the mystery out of it. Understanding why this happens is the absolute key to making sure it never happens to you.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll cover what overheating actually is. Then, we're going to dive into how your car's cooling system works. After that, we'll uncover the 5 most common reasons it fails. We'll also walk through an emergency checklist just in case. And we'll wrap it all up with the most important part, how to stop this from ever happening in the first place. All right, let's start at square one. What are we even talking about when we say an engine is overheating? And really, why is it such a massive deal?
So think about it like this. Your engine is basically a series of controlled explosions, which creates an incredible amount of heat. The cooling system is like its own personal bodyguard, designed to manage all that heat and keep things stable. Overheating is simply what happens when that bodyguard gets overwhelmed and can't do its job anymore. The engine's temperature just spirals out of control, and that's a huge red flag that a critical system has failed.
And trust me, the consequences are no joke. We are talking about serious, and I mean seriously expensive damage. Things like a blown head gasket, a warped cylinder head, or even totally damaged pistons. Worst case, complete engine failure. These are the kinds of repairs that cost thousands of dollars and can take your car off the road for a long, long time.
Okay, so to understand what goes wrong, we really need to get a grip on what's supposed to go right. So let's meet the unsung hero working hard under your hood, the cooling system.
Think of these 5 parts as a team that has to work together perfectly. You've got the radiator, the coolant, which you probably know as antifreeze, the water pump, which is like the heart of the system, the thermostat, which acts like the brain, and the cooling fan for that extra cooling power. Here's the catch. If even one member of this team stops doing its job, the whole system can fall apart.
All right, time to put on our detective hats. Let's investigate the 5 usual suspects when this system breaks down, and we're going to start with the #1 most common culprit of them all.
By a long shot, the most common reason for an engine to overheat is just having a low level of coolant. I mean, it's that simple. This is the special fluid that absorbs heat from the engine and carries it away to the radiator to get cooled down. If there isn't enough of it, well, the engine just has no way to get rid of all that extra heat.
You know, it's pretty cool how your car tries to tell you what's wrong. Sure, you've got the obvious signs like the temp gauge shooting up or a warning light, but here's a pro tip, a less obvious clue. If your car's heater starts blowing cold air when the engine is warm, that is a classic sign that your coolant is low. See, the heater actually uses that engine heat to warm you up, and if there's not enough coolant to carry the heat, it just won't work.
Next up, the thermostat. Now this is just a small, simple little valve, but its job is absolutely critical. It decides when to let coolant flow to the radiator. When the engine is cold, it stays shut to let it warm up faster. Once it's hot, it opens up. But if it gets stuck closed, the coolant is trapped, it can't circulate, and your engine will overheat incredibly fast.
The biggest giveaway here is speed. If you watch your temperature gauge go from totally normal to pegged in the red in just a matter of minutes, even on a quick trip to the store, a stuck thermostat is almost certainly your problem. It's a cheap part to replace, but ignoring it can literally destroy your engine.
Okay, let's talk about the radiator fan. This is your car's secret weapon for when you're not moving. See, when you're driving down the highway, air is naturally flowing through the radiator. But when you're stuck in traffic or just idling, that fan is what kicks on to pull air through and keep things cool.
So how do you know if the fan is the problem? Well, there's a very specific clue. Just ask yourself this. Does my car stay cool on the highway, but starts to overheat the second I hit stop-and-go traffic? If the answer is yes, that is the classic signature of a broken radiator fan. It's a problem that only shows up when you're standing still.
Over years and years of driving, stuff like rust, dirt, and other gunk can build up inside your radiator and create blockages. You can think of it like clogged arteries for your car. The coolant just can't flow through freely, and so the radiator can't do its main job, which is releasing heat into the air.
A clogged radiator usually shows up as a long-term chronic issue. Maybe your engine just always runs a little bit hot,
Or you might pop the hood and notice your coolant looks all brown and murky instead of that bright green or orange color it should be. That's a huge sign your system needs a good cleaning, what mechanics call a flush.
If the radiator is the lungs of your cooling system, then the water pump is definitely the heart. Its one and only job is to pump coolant through the engine and radiator over and over again. If that pump fails, the circulation just stops, dead. Heat builds up inside the engine with absolutely nowhere to go, and overheating happens almost instantly.
Yeah, the signs of a dying water pump can be pretty dramatic. We're talking about a major coolant leak coming from the front of the engine, maybe a high-pitched whining noise that gets louder as you rev the engine, or even steam coming right from the radiator area. The bottom line is this: if you see or hear any of these things, pull over and shut the car off. Seriously, do not risk it.
Okay, so we've gone through all the causes. But what do you actually do if it happens to you, right now, while you're driving? This next part is your critical action plan. Listen up.
First thing, turn off your AC right away. It puts a lot of extra strain on the engine. Next, and I know this is going to sound crazy, turn your heater on full blast. What this does is it actually pulls heat away from the engine and dumps it into the cabin. As soon as you can, pull over somewhere safe and shut the engine off completely. And then, you just have to wait. Give it a good 20 to 30 minutes to cool down.
And now for the single most important safety rule. I cannot possibly stress this enough. Never, ever try to open the radiator cap or the coolant reservoir when the engine is hot. That system is under extreme pressure, and if you open it, it will erupt with scalding hot steam and liquid. It can cause horrific burns. Just don't do it.
Phew. Okay, we've covered the emergency plan. But honestly, the real goal here is to make sure you never have to use it. The absolute best fix for an overheating engine is preventing it from ever happening, and you'd be amazed how a tiny bit of maintenance can go a really long way.
And look, this doesn't have to be complicated at all. Just get in the habit of checking your coolant level every couple of weeks when the engine is cool. Pay attention to that temperature gauge on your dash. It's there for a reason. Get your cooling system flushed every couple of years, like your car's manual recommends. And if you ever see a green or orange puddle under your car, get that leak fixed immediately. These simple habits are your absolute best defense.
At the end of the day, just understanding a little bit about how your car works is the best way to keep it reliable and save yourself from some massive repair bills. Today we demystified the cooling system. But what car mystery should we solve next? Drop a comment below and let us know what you want us to explain. Thanks for watching.